Alright, so let's talk about Chapter 7, Season 2. So I know it's still a ways away yet. March 18th is when Season 2 officially begins, but there has been some major hype around it right now. And that's thanks to Ted Timmons, who is the design director in Fortnite. So through his transparency on Twitter, we've got all kinds of insights into Chapter 7, Season 2. So first, let me just talk about Season 1 a little bit. I thought it's a pretty good season thus far. Yes, it's shaping up to be one of the longest seasons in Fortnite history, but it's still fun and refreshing to me. Is it the best season we've ever had? Absolutely not, but I wouldn't say it's the worst. That, in my opinion, goes to Chapter 2, Season 1. I don't know, I just feel like Chapter 7, Season 1 gets a bad rap. Maybe it's because there's not really enough excitement when you hop into a match, but I find the loot pool to be satisfying. Like I said, it's not extraordinary, but it's decent. It's better than some seasons we've had in the past. I thought the wingsuit was pretty good as well. I know it's no kinetic blade or shockwave hammer, but it's a decent item, even though it does tend to get you killed in top tier gameplays. Like if you're against a good player and you use that wingsuit, you're probably going to get shredded. So whether you love Chapter 7 Season 1 or not, Season 2 apparently is shaping up to be tremendous. And again, this is all thanks to Ted Timmons. So he posted this yesterday. He says, I've been playtesting Fortnite Chapter 7 Season 2 all morning. What's your hopes and dreams for what you want to see and play in Season 2? And then he said, usual house rules apply, be kind to each other. So he laid it all out on the table for people to reply and say, hey, this is what I want to see in Chapter 7 Season 2. And he got all sorts of replies. I mean, it had over 300,000 views, and apparently he read every single comment. But he responded to quite a few comments as well, and that's what leads us to this video because there's a lot to take in from what he said. So for example, here's a huge one. He says, I'm just sad that not one person in the 1,200 replies asked me about our new quality of life changes that are incoming for Season 2. I had plenty to share too. So it sounds like some good quality of life changes are on their way, and that's always a great thing. I don't know what exactly that entails or involves, but I guess we'll see. And then there's this reply. This is a response to someone named Muffin. And Muffin said, really tired of the hit scan red dot AR meta. I think either they need to all be third-person ARs or red dot ARs should be projectile. Also going to echo what others have said about mid-match objectives and more interesting rift anomalies. I'm sure y'all have been cooking though. And Ted replied, all new, well, he says mate incoming, but he meant meta. All new meta incoming. And I think Muffin's hit the nail on the head there. If there's a red dot sight or any kind of sight weapon, it's what everyone goes to, and it's the best, always. If there's any kind of sighted weapon, those are usually what 99% of the population use. And mid-match objectives would be awesome, I think. Damian Wayne says, I hope we continue to have some good traversal and melee items. Those are the funnest, in my opinion. And Ted replied, well, then you'll like Season 2. And then in this tweet, Tetro says, I mainly want more complexity, similar to Chapter 6. Chapter 7 Season 1 has felt way too basic and boring in my opinion, and it's the main reason I haven't really played that much of this season. And Ted says, you want it? You got it. Now this is an interesting one. So my friend on Twitter, FN News, aka Sentinel Central, says, in my opinion, what made Fortnite different from other games is all the wacky items that were introduced in Chapter 1 to Chapter 4. Such as the inflatable, shockwave hammer, boogie bombs, porta-fort, etc. It'll be cool if more items like these were added in upcoming season. And then Ted says, well, there's a couple items in particular that have made me laugh out loud. Hope you have the same experience. Now this one's cool too. Foxman says, I think mid-game objectives add so much replay value to Battle Royale. This season was great for competing, but not so great for people who stream/play every day. Having something to fight for off spawn, and then he says, like medallions and mythics, or something happening mid-game like island, vaults, caches. I also think something that is hugely overlooked is the randomness of reload. When Battle Royale had augments, key chests, etc., there were random combinations that made each game feel different. Different rare guns to play with each time. Thank you for caring and wanting public opinion. So I couldn't agree more, actually. I didn't even think about some of that stuff, but it's true. But with medallions, you gotta be careful because, yeah, they're awesome, but if there's a good player in the lobby and they get the medallions, it almost makes them unstoppable. Which the streamers, of course, would love, but for your average Joe, remember how brutal that was when someone collected all the medallions and they were just amazing. It was like they were invincible. You couldn't beat them. However, the mid-game islands and the vaults and the augments, I think the augments were fantastic. I totally think they should bring those back. Well, anyway, Ted replied and he says, agreed, the mid-game isn't where we want it to be at the moment. Season 2 is leaps ahead, in my opinion. I would love your feedback here after launch, as I feel we can optimize and improve even further with more feedback. Thank you for taking the time to reply. So I'll read one more. There's tons he responded to, but then I'll summarize everything else. So this one is from Cluedad, and he says, just keep it loopy. For me, Fortnite is at its best when it plays like an episode of Looney Tunes. Smashy hammers, rocket rams, exploding tricycles, boogie bombs, witches' brooms, goop guns. The nuttier, the better. This season has felt a bit vanilla so far. Send in the crazy. So that's actually true. There's not really any crazy items this season, other than the wingsuit, but I mean, that's not too crazy. So Ted replied, dial up the Looney Tunes and the crazy. Got it. Okay, so some of the data miners and leakers compiled basically a rundown of everything he mentioned. So instead of showing you each and every tweet he replied to, let me just show you what they summed up. So this is from the data miner and leaker Sheena, and he posted this: official Chapter 7 Season 2 news. So again, these are all things Ted replied with or mentioned in some capacity on Twitter. So he says, weapon loot pool almost fully refreshed. So if you hate the Chapter 7 Season 1 loot pool, you're in for a treat in Season 2. Multiple new movement items. So this is good, although I was hoping for a few of the iconic ones to return, like the kinetic blade or the shockwave hammer. But hey, I'll take new. Now this one he mentioned a few times in his responses, but he says, items that support movement as a team. So I don't know about this one because I'm a solo player. I don't really like playing in duos or trios or squads, but I didn't know how this would work. Does that mean you all have to do something in order to make it work, or is it just something that can take your entire team with you? As long as it's viable in solos as well, I'll take it. But that sounds interesting. Then he says gameplay will have more complexity. Again, we kind of mentioned that already. We just read this one, dial up the Looney Tunes. So people are actually taking that literal and thinking there's going to be some Looney Tune characters, like maybe Bugs Bunny. Then he says new traversal and melee items. Okay, I'll take those. Mid-game gameplay improvement. So something like the Dr. Doom Island coming back. That'll be good. A new locked mid-game loot spot. Okay, so that'll be twofold there. You get some awesome presumable weapons or items, and it's something to fight for. Now here's hoping it's not like some of the things we've had in the past that spawn when there's like 10 people left, because that kind of stinks. I like when there's tons of people left and you can actually utilize it. Then he says likely a new match starting sequence like surfing. Ooh, so that could be hit or miss. I like the surfing aspect, but it got old quick, and I feel like anything new they bring in might meet the same fate. People like the battle boss. Then he says a, quote, new old meta loot spot next season. New old? What in the hey bada bada does that mean? Is that like bringing back Tilted Towers and sprucing it up a bit? I'm not sure. And then he says funny gameplay items, likely a new experimental feature for XP. Okay, well that, I guess, could be good. What else could they do to grant you XP? I don't know. I mean, you can get XP for doing pretty much anything. And then he said teaser word bearer. So let me see if I can find the tweet for that, because I don't know what that is referencing. Bearer. Okay, so I found it. So my friend on Twitter, Happy Power, actually posted this. He says, if you could use one word to tease Chapter 7 Season 2, what would you pick? And Ted says, good question. I hate spoilers, so I want to tread very carefully and cryptically here, as Fortnite is a reality best experienced. And he said, let's try, quote, bearer. I'll see you on March 19th to explain. Remind me. Bearer. So immediately, the thing that pops in my head is like a flag bearer. Like you pick up a flag and you run. And I think that's actually the definition of bearer. Let me just look. Yeah, it says a person or thing that carries or holds something. Oh yeah, and the description is literally a flag bearer. So maybe there's going to be some kind of, I don't know, capture the flag type event where you pick something up and you get hunted. But if you're marked on the entire map and you get eliminated, that would stink, because then you're game over back to the lobby. Maybe you'll just drop the item and you won't actually die. I don't know. But bearer is an interesting teaser. We're going to be holding something, possibly running for our lives or using it to traverse. I don't know. Could be a sword bearer, a flag bearer, a medallion bearer, a badge bearer. I don't know. Some kind of thing we're going to be holding on to in Season 2. So there you go. It all sounds very promising, and knock on wood, Season 2s have been historically some of the best seasons in their respective chapters. I know a lot of people don't regard it as such, but Chapter 2 Season 2 was one of the best seasons of all time. If you didn't play it, I can understand you hating on it, but if you did play it, you gotta admit that was phenomenal. And honestly, Chapter 3, Chapter 4, Chapter 5, Season 2s were where it was at. So here's hoping it continues that trend with Chapter 7 Season 2, and we reign supreme with the best season this chapter has to offer. So shout out to Ted Timmons for sharing all this insight into the next season already. I know, like I said, we're still a ways away, but it's absolutely amazing to get the real live feedback like that. It's just promising, to say the least. So there you go. If you're excited for Chapter 7 Season 2, let me know in the comments. Hopefully this brings a lot of players back that saw Season 1 as just boring and repetitive and not very fun. I don't feel that way, but a lot of people do, and they've since quit playing Fortnite for a while, so maybe this will be the redeeming season and bring lots of players back. We'll see. So there you go. That's all there is to it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. A like is always appreciated, and don't forget to use my Support-A-Creator code, which is tabortime.